Anyway, today I want to take a brief look at two Nintendo Switch games, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Animal Crossing New Horizons. Both games are considered to be major steps forward in their respective franchises, and both introduce a new feature that has polarized some fans: breakable items. Let's see how I feel about each game's use of this mechanic. And before anybody starts asking any questions like, hey, why is this guy comparing an action-adventure game with a life simulator? Well, times have been pretty weird lately, okay? Let's just move past that. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild released for the Nintendo Switch on March 3rd, 2017, as a launch title alongside such fan favorites as, good lord, well, actually, I did enjoy snipper clips. By now it's well known that the game made its fair share of changes to the established 3D Zelda formula, introducing fully open-ended exploration, giving you all of your permanent abilities early in the game, crafting an ingenious physics system that allows me to do crap like this, and of course, breakable weapons. When people talk about Breath of the Wild, you can usually expect to hear at least one complaint or two about this new system. I've heard folks say it punishes the player for playing the game, or that it discourages the player from actually using their strongest weapon since they'll burst into pieces after only a few swings anyway, and I truly disagree with both of these. Okay, the one negative thing I will say is that the strongest weapons should last a little bit longer than they do. The absolute strongest weapons in the game should feel like real rewards when you collect them, so I just wish there could be at least a few rare ones that last like double that of a Lionel weapon or whatever, you know, long enough that you don't even have to think about them breaking for a good while. But besides that, I do think they implemented the system pretty much perfectly, and the reason is all about why they break in the first place. When you first boot up Breath of the Wild and you're thrown in the Great Plateau tutorial area, you have to make do with what you find around you, usually sticks and twigs and whatnot that only last for a few swings each. Kinda nuts, by the way, that you're out here killing vicious monsters with a thin strip of wood or a leaf. But anyway, as you progress on your journey, you'll find stronger and stronger weaponry depending on where you go, which monsters you defeat, which shrines you solve, and so on. In addition, the game pretty much showers you with weapons. You'll always have something to fight with, and if you somehow manage to obliterate your supply, you can always just use bombs or your Cryonis or your other permanent rune abilities. But again, the game just showers you with weapons all over the place. So with that being said, the concept of breakable weapons was clearly designed to introduce players to a new style of Zelda game, one that constantly encourages and rewards exploration. In previous entries in the series, you were often given new abilities that would directly correspond with the area you found them in, and you would use these abilities to solve puzzles, progress forward, or abuse an enemy's weak point. But in Breath of the Wild's open world of non-linear progression, they couldn't rely on simply handing you new weapons at specific moments. Instead, they had to find ways to organically encourage players to break out of their comfort zones and try new things. Which brings us back to weapons breaking and the arguments against that. Some will say, oh, but none of the weapons last long enough, which becomes a hindrance during combat and punishes the player for playing the game. Well, weapons break, yeah, but keep playing and you'll be sure to find 5 more to replace that broken one. They are everywhere! In the trees, in the shrines, as a reward for defeating even the weakest overworld enemies. Need a new melee weapon in a pinch? Check under your mattress, you'll be sure to find something good there. You'll always be replacing one with another, so this never becomes a situation where you're required to hoard anything. And what about the argument that breakable weapons discourage you from using your strongest ones since they'll just break anyway? Well, I'm gonna have to respond to that one with a bit of an anecdote. But during my playthrough of the game, I would generally always make sure to have a couple strong weapons for boss or even mini boss encounters, so this was never an issue for me personally. And let me tell you, I'm not exactly a skilled player or anything. In addition, I always kinda preferred finding ways to fight using magnesis over everything else, plus you have the bombs and all of your other runes, plus the Master Sword recharges, plus it's not like the game only has 2 or 3 strong weapons in total, you'll be bound to find more as you progress. So I will admit that my only response to that argument is just, you know, no, like, just use the stronger weapons for stronger encounters, and if they break, you'll be sure to find new ones anyway, you know? Can it be annoying? Sure, not to me personally, but I honestly do get why it bothers people. But, is it an essential mechanic of Breath of the Wild's more open-ended structure? One that was well integrated into the game in a way that makes sense and encourages players to expand their playstyle? You really can't tell me that it's not. I have no credibility. I'll die on this hill. And speaking of great game design choices, and by great game design choices, I mean terrible sins against humanity, Animal Crossing's breakable tools. In case that didn't make it clear, I hate Animal Crossing's breakable tools. Okay, to step back for a second, New Horizons came out on March 20th, 2020, in the midst of some pretty nutty times, let's just leave it at that. The game's release date coinciding with a large majority of the population being stuck at home resulted in the game's sales skyrocketing, and with that, an already popular series being introduced to new players for the first time. And thankfully for both newbies and old fans, Nintendo designed this outing to introduce all sorts of features to expand on the familiar Animal Crossing formula. The main themes of this game are crafting and terraforming, where you're encouraged to design your island in unique and custom ways, all for Isabelle to tell you that your hard work is only worth 2 stars anyway, loser, you need more trees! So given these aspects of the game, it only makes sense that tools, which were once just purchasable items in the older game shops, are now crafted and customized as well. And they break after a set number of uses. And as I said earlier, this sucks. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Okay, actually to be fair, it is pretty cool in the beginning. You're thrown in this empty island, Tom Nook gives you instructions to build a fishing rod out of only tree branches somehow. It feels satisfying. The crappy fishing rod breaks, you build another one with more branches, and repeat. You do quickly learn how to build even stronger tools, usually throwing a piece of iron in the mix. Again, pretty decent concept, makes sense at first. But the whole appeal of Animal Crossing to most people is that you boot up the game every day and play however you want. Wake up, check on your town, find some fossils, sell some stuff, maybe go fishing, rinse and repeat. So my problem with this system is that by the time your island is more developed and you're deeper into the loop of the game, the tools keep on breaking. And every solution the game gives you for this problem just introduces a new problem along with it. Want to endlessly build flimsy tools and just replace them whenever you need? After all, they don't require much to build. Okay, but you still have to stop what you're doing, do a walk of shame to the nearest workbench, mash until your tool is ready, and then after only like 20 uses, you have to do it all over again. Sure, but you can just build the stronger tools, right? After all, you do eventually get instructions to build non-flimsy variations of each tool, so just build those, stupid. That's true, but I swear to God, these non-flimsy tools are not exactly non-flimsy by any human definition. I mean, the slingshot kinda lasts a while, I guess, but I somehow break a shovel every day just by doing the usual chores of hitting rocks, finding fossils, and burying the money tree. The fishing rods and nets also don't last long if you actually play for more than a few minutes a day, and nothing is more irritating to me than these useless things breaking during the fishing or bug competitions. Just think about it. If you bought a shovel at Home Depot and it broke on you after a single day, would you be satisfied? Would you think that you got your fair share of mileage out of your purchase? No, of course not. So what in the world was Nintendo thinking, giving these so-called upgrades such short lifespans in the first place? And sure, you can always just buy tools at the shop, right? I mean, yeah, to be honest, that's what I do at this point. I just sell my old shovel right before it breaks and buy a new one every day. But first of all, they're not cheap. I mean, they're not too expensive, but they're valued slightly higher than you'd expect for the economy of this game. And second of all, this isn't fun. How is this fun? I get that a lot of the appeal of Animal Crossing is the day-to-day activities, the chores, the mindlessness of it all, and I do love Animal Crossing for all of those reasons. But this just takes it to a whole nother level of tedium. It's not even charming, it's just stopping you from doing what you want to be doing. Oh, and I didn't even mention the gold tools yet. Oh, the gold tools! These are stronger upgrades of each tool made by using a gold ore. See, every once in a while when you hit a rock or a sky balloon, you get a piece of gold, aka a gold ore, which you can sell in the shop for 10,000 bells. Or you can use them to build the gold tools, assuming you have the necessary DIY card to build each gold tool. I've been playing this game every single day since it came out, and I haven't gotten one single crafting card for a golden tool yet. I know you get them for completing certain tasks, which makes sense, but I don't feel like waking Gulliver up half the time I see him, so I'm not gonna go out of my way to wake him 30 times in order to get the golden shovel. And apparently in order to get the golden net, you have to catch every single bug in the game. The bugs are seasonal. There's 80 of them. Why does it take that long? And even if I did go for the gold, I wouldn't waste what is essentially over 10,000 bells worth of materials for a tool that only lasts usually double the length of its non-gold equivalent. What? Pretty much a regular shovel costs 2,500 bells at the shop. You buy it, you use it 100 times, it breaks. If you want to get a golden shovel, you have to use a $10,000 golden ore plus a $2,500 shovel, mix them together to create the golden shovel, which only lasts 200 uses. So you're telling me you have to jump through so many hoops to build these things, and they only last for 2 days instead of 1? I see nothing positive about the golden tools. I don't see anything positive about this entire system. Sure, I mean it fits the theme of the game, and it was fun and rewarding at first. But come on, the game has been out for like 6 months. Just give us platinum tools that never break already. Make them cost a bajillion bells each, or require a decent amount of materials in order to fit the crafting theme. I literally do not care how they implement permanent tools. But to me, disposable tools in Animal Crossing are one of the most pointless, frustrating, immersion-breaking mechanics I've ever seen in a mainline Nintendo game, and one that I truly feel is indefensible. But I mean, besides all that, it's not that bad. Bonus round! Paper Mario the Origami King, like the previous 2 games in the series, also has temporary weapons, this time in the form of breakable boots and hammers you use during combat. These items grant you stronger attack power or the ability to attack in new ways, such as being able to jump on spiky enemies if you're wearing a pair of iron boots. And it's okay. Well, I mean, as much as I understand that the folks making Paper Mario are trying desperately to abandon their RPG roots, I still think it would have worked a lot better if these functioned as permanent upgrades that you receive for accomplishing certain objectives, or dare I say, leveling up your base weapons. But as it is, it's a simple system, the temporary weapons last several turns, the game throws them at you constantly as a reward for exploring, you have so many coins that you can always just buy a million of them easily, and you can even switch your broken weapons out during combat without wasting a turn, so again, it's okay. Like most of Origami King, it might have worked a bit better if they embraced some RPG aspects, even a little, but it's still executed well enough that I don't really mind. So that's my take on breakable weapons. Sometimes they're a well thought out expansion of a game's themes, encouraging players to get out of their comfort zones and try things they wouldn't normally try. And sometimes they're a mindless, annoying waste of time, constantly forcing you to stop what you're doing and mash a button in order to continue. And sometimes they're the breakable weapons in Origami King. You know, they're perfectly fine. But in the future, I really hope Nintendo looks at how this system worked in Breath of the Wild and understand that it was effective in that game for a specific reason. Breakable weapons don't need to be shoehorned into future releases just for the sake of it, and if it's done poorly, it can really detract from otherwise enjoyable experiences. Let me tell you, I'll be dead in the ground before the next Yoshi game forces in breakable weapons. Dead in the ground!
So, in conclusion, Nintendo...